Howdy folks, my name's Glenn and this is the Cactus Atlas, and today I'm going to take you on a little ride along on this road trip vlog. So while this has become a very familiar sight in the summer of 2023, believe it or not, this episode just begins here, and this time we're not exploring the Mojave. We are heading to areas north, up into the high deserts today of Nevada. All right, Sands Motel, you did me good 3 times in a row now. Until next time. I know this is not going to be the best filming right now. It's dark in here. I can even see how grainy this looks. First order of business is to get caffeine. It's 5 a.m. here. Let's see, the exact time is, exactly 5 a.m. 5:01 a.m. right now. My itinerary had me leaving at 5. All right, Starbucks. Let's see if I read the hours right. I think it did say 4 a.m. It's kind of a wonky Starbucks here. They don't have a drive-through, so I have to go in. But we'll get to the bottom of this. It's actually a Friday, so it's a work day. So I would think they'd be open. You can't wake up in the morning and not have a hot cup of coffee, in my opinion. And you can't be cleaning your windshield like I did in a Starbucks coffee lot without coffee. Hopefully I did a good job. It's so dark I can't really see. The sun has come up and it is now 16 after 6 a.m. We've been on the road for about an hour and 15 minutes, well north of Las Vegas at this point. Thank God. I'm not a Las Vegas kind of guy, I guess. I'm a desert dweller, and this is my home. Today we're going to be passing through the likes of Goldfield, Tonopah, all of those old gold and silver boom towns from the turn of the century that we've frequented many times on this channel. Got a couple stops planned between here and my ultimate destination today. The destination today is a place called Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park, where I'm going to be camping tonight if all goes according to plan. Another interesting note is my plan. Last night I stayed at a hotel or a motel, and that was it for sleeping in motels and hotels on this trip. All the rest of the way, gosh, I want to say, what's today, Friday? So 8 days straight of camping in a tent is what I'm looking at, if all goes according to plan. If I get to a place and there's no campground and I can't find a plan B, I might have to shack up at a hotel. Worst case scenario, but most of the places I'm camping at, I actually have reservations. The only exceptions to that would be tonight and tomorrow night, where I'm heading tomorrow, which will not be part of this video. We'll deal with that when we get to that, one day at a time. Well, we have about an hour and 49 minutes to go until our first stop, and plenty of driving and other stops after that. So I think I'm going to just sit here and enjoy the sunrise from the cockpit. East is going to be off to the right. You can't see it. We're heading approximately north right now. So thankfully the sun will not be in our face, I don't think, at any point on this drive this morning. Man, it's beautiful. I may check back in between now and our first stop if something strikes my fancy. You know how we do here on the Cactus Atlas. We've made a lot more progress. It's 10 to 8, 7:50 a.m. We are scheduled for an 8:04 arrival at our first location right outside of Goldfield, Nevada. The International Car Forest of the Last Church is the name of this place. It's an art installation out here in the middle of nowhere, basically. We'll stop here and take us a peek. I'm early too. I am like a half an hour early, which is awesome. Goldfield proper is somewhere down this ways. We're gonna drive through and see it. We'll see how we're doing with time and if I can make a quick stop to check some things out. Wasn't planning on that because I really wanted to focus on this today. This very strange and odd place. Normally I'm not into old rusty cars like that, but how could you not dig it? It is a strange landscape here. Just seeing this, it looks maybe like something from a horror movie, like we're intruding upon some strange cannibalistic cult out here in the middle of the desert. The car cult. Our first look at some of these cars. Some of them I remember from last time. Most of them I don't, either because they're painted differently now or it's been a couple years since we've been here. Look at that bus. Not even really sure what to say for the commentary here other than just enjoy it, I guess. A couple chipmunks seem to be making a home of some of these cars. But yeah, basically my understanding is one guy started doing this and another guy joined in and helped them, and then they had a falling out, and I don't know if they're still involved or either one of them are still involved with this or what the story is there. I couldn't find a lot of detailed info online. But whatever. Someone was out here doing something. Would have been fascinating to see how they actually achieved this. I mean, most of the cars are gutted, so I don't know how much one of these would typically weigh. Sure, it's not light. And to get it to stand up like that, I'm sure was no easy feat. Well, I apologize if there's any naughty language in any of this graffiti. I don't see any sticking out, but usually when I watch our videos, I catch things after the fact. We try to keep it as clean as possible. It's hard to do so in places like this though, but here is the Clussy or Clussy cream. I hope that's not a Urban Dictionary nasty thing or something like that. If so, I've never heard of it. Ooh, there's eyes staring into our soul. I want to watch out for snakes too. I know snakes like warm metal on a cool morning like this. Look at the axle here. We're right underneath this car. It's kind of scary, isn't it? This is one where you want to get your tetanus shots done, I think. I have to bend down, I can't stand up in here. We're in this clown mobile, this van. Let's take a look here at the front. It's like the magic bus all over again. Yeah, it smells like recent spray paint type of smell in there. Reminded me of doing models when I was a child, like plastic models in the paint. Smells like that in there. So now that I've had a chance to walk around and check out a lot of these things and trying to compare it to my memory, there were a couple that I actually definitively recognized that were painted over, because you could still see some of the old paint underneath them. But for the most part, it's a very different, I don't really see too many things that look exactly like they did. Granted, I think the vehicles are all where they were left, but some of the paint jobs, I think people just come out here and contribute to this over time. Now we're at the other end of the art installation. We were on the other side of this low area up on that hill over there, and I just drove. You could see the big G for Goldfield up on the hill. Maybe you can't. I can. And over here is one of these buses that I wanted to come get a closer look at, because it's this. These are the impressive ones to me, or how the heck did they do that? They must have had a crane or some other kind of industrial strength equipment, but it's a little worrisome. I don't think I want to go hang out underneath that thing. Although I'm sure it's, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure it's stable. It appears stable. And Junie was here. Wow. For some reason, I just love the look of this lone Joshua tree here amidst all this junk. It's kind of a junkyard of sorts, but there's something about it that not only gets me to come back out here, but clearly many folks have been here over time. If you've been on Instagram or YouTube long enough, you've seen this. You know you have. I am not the first, nor will I be the last. So 4 minutes ahead of schedule, it would seem. I'm gonna get on the road and keep this itinerary right on track. Our next stop is Tonopah. I'm gonna make a quick stop there to see something I've never seen before. So don't worry if you've been with us for a long time, we're not gonna rehash the same things from the past. But hopefully what I'm gonna go see is open, and hopefully it's cool. Regardless, we'll tool around Tonopah for a few when we get there. And I gotta get some supplies, refreshing the ice in the cooler and a few other things. So let's go take care of those chores. Okay, so the International Car Forest, we'll get our last looks as we drive on out of here. Now that I am a more experienced off-roader, you know, when I came here the first time I had a rental car, just a passenger car, smaller than this even, and I was really nervous. And I ended up going up there, you know, where the bus is on top of the hill, and I thought I had to drive down that steep hill. And for some reason in my mind, I thought the road was a lot rougher than it actually is. Now that I am more experienced with off-roading, my point was going to be that this is kindergarten. Any car can get back here, I guarantee it. I'm gonna even use my unicyclist, could probably do it. Although that would be, I'm not gonna guarantee the unicyclist wouldn't take a tumble once or twice, but that'd be so awesome to see somebody off-roading on a unicycle. Somebody's had to have surely done that, have they not? I told Amy I printed out my itinerary. I'm gonna give you a closer look at this later, but it's pretty detailed. You could see I'm following this to a T. Like I have all of the places I'm going plotted, the distances between them, the estimated times to drive to these, padded a little bit. Padded so when I have to finagle with the GoPros, when they overheat, I have to change batteries, things like that. I'm trying to get scientific about this, so I'm not gonna sweat it if I don't. if I'm not able to be ahead of schedule or on schedule, because even if I'm a little bit late, this left some wiggle room. But it is ambitious, and I'm on the road. What is today? Today's Friday. I took a Friday off, and then the whole following next week. Longest road trip I've ever taken. But let me shut up, because here we are in Goldfield, Nevada. Hopefully you guys recognize this. I do not have time to stop, because I'm right on time at this point, and I did not allot time to go check out some things. What I was going to do is make a right here towards the Santa Fe Saloon, which we came when we were exploring the history of a guy named Seldom Seen Slim and the time frame that we estimate he may have lived in this area. Did all this wandering around and really enjoyed the history, but on that trip we went to the Santa Fe Saloon at the end. And interestingly, across the street there's an old railroad relic from that age, and then there was a train car parked next to it that was covered, and I poked my head in there. That's what I wanted to go check out, to see if they've made any progress restoring that, or if it's still there in presumably some kind of state of arrested decay, if anything. We are now 27 minutes away from Tonopah. 9:30 arrival time at my first stop, which is to buy more ice. There's also a museum that I want to visit here, and I have myself scheduled to be there at 10 a.m. and I gave myself extra time for the driving and stuff like that, so I think I'm gonna stick with that one, and we'll check the cooler at the very least at the grocery store I'm gonna stop at, get that chore taken care of, and basically follow the itinerary to a T. Straight ahead of us down this stretch of Route 95, you may not be able to see it from the GoPro view, but the road just keeps going and it goes straight up that hill, up those mountains, and Tonopah is a little higher elevation up in those mountains there. In fact, the time that I saw snow out in these parts, I think there was a time where there was snow up here, but nothing really in between down here in this lower part, just to show you how much elevation changes. I wouldn't be surprised if that's gonna have us climb up near 1,000 feet or something like that. The landscapes here are ever more familiar to me now. Seems like just yesterday I was standing, I think, off to the left where that hill is, looking the other way, discussing, I want to say, the early travelers to this area and surmising, that drive from Goldfield to Tonopah is going to take me about a half an hour. How long did it take them? Those that were pushing all of their belongings that they owned in the world in a wheelbarrow across the landscape. A lot of people did that back then when they were following these gold and silver booms south through the state from Tonopah to Goldfield down to like Beatty and Rhyolite. Once again, I'll plug our old videos about Seldom Seen Slim, because a lot of it's about that history, not necessarily Seldom Seen Slim. Although it's said that Seldom Seen Slim traveled through and followed those booms on his way down to the Death Valley area. It's fascinating stuff for me. I see the Tonopah Mining Park, historic mining park that we visited. You can see a head frame and some other buildings on the top.
Turn left onto Logan Field Road, then your destination will be on the left.
Here. Oh yeah, right here. What do you know about that? I don't know how I didn't know about this place until my most recent research too. The Central Nevada Museum. Wow, they have a lot of old like mining shacks and stuff in the back here that I saw online, and a head frame. This looks like a jewel, actually, and I only gave myself a half an hour, but luckily we have an additional 20 minutes. So it's open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I was right about that, I think. Didn't screw up many times yet. It's free admission, too. That's awesome. This museum is awesome. I didn't do any beforehand research other than to know that there's a lot of mining history here because of the nature of this town and what Tonopah is and how it got on the map. Oh, and I think I saw one of these. I love these. These are models of what the underground mines look like.
kind of crazy to see this, but it's almost like what ants would do. It's kind of just all askew, and I guess they just followed the metals, the ore veins. Wow, that was overwhelming in a awesome way. Boy, I didn't want to do much talking in there because it's kind of quiet. There's a couple employees here, but the museum is free and a very nice, welcoming here. But I was just kind of taking it all in, and there's so many relics that in old photos of the town that I've never seen before that really give this a huge sense of place, what it once was. Seeing pictures of Goldfield in there also, where we just drove through. Absolutely amazing. I think what's doing it for me here, especially inside the museum, is just seeing all of the actual relics, clothing, children's toys, anything you can imagine, opium pipes, boxes to store opium, and just stuff like that. You know, turn of the century stuff, like early 1900s, late 1800s maybe even. Just a total different time where there's no voices left to tell the tales. And that's all that's left, the evidence of the past. This is one of the best exhibits that I've seen yet for the time periods that we oftentimes seek out on this channel. So fantastic. So I didn't study to see what jail this is from. I'm assuming it's from a jail. Looks like a guard's tower. Some information here maybe on the sign. This was a, actually it's a bar, it's not what I thought it was. It's a bomb target observation tower used at the Tonopah Bombing and Gunnery Range. Used by the Army and Air Force during 1945, 44 to 45 to observe practice bomb drops. How cool is that? That makes this even cooler. And look at the moon. I think I may have seen what appeared to be a cage down here. The lady in there said they had a couple cages that they used to drop into the mines. Maybe that, or maybe an old elevator, it looks like. Wonder if that's like an original elevator from one of these early buildings, the Mizpah or Belvada. That looks kind of fancy. Oh, it's an Otis elevator, so that tells me it's old. You probably installed in the State Bank and Trust Company building at 102 Brower Avenue in Tonopah. So one of the banks, I guess. And I don't know which building that would be, if it's still around today, but back in the day it was a tall enough building to afford this guy. Wow, they got old cars and just ore buckets. So those would have been buckets that they would have probably hoisted up somehow through pulley systems out of the deep mines. I know when I was doing all of those seldom seen slim videos, I would always surmise if any of these relics or any of these leftovers were seen with the same eyes of old timers like Old Slim. You know, you never know. This is a cool contraption. I presume it's some kind of maybe cage that could have, you know, there's tracks on it, so maybe they pushed ore carts onto this, lifted it to a different level or the top, and then wheeled it on out or something like that. What is that called? Oh, it was used in the Mitspa mine. It's a mine hoisting cage, so I think that is the correct educated guess. I always associate cages with the things that brought men and workers down into the mines, but I think I never really thought about it like having carts go up and down, but that actually makes total sense why you do that, because those carts, I'm sure, I know I've heard a story of a guy in Goldfield that got ran over by one and died. Actually, two brothers that are buried in the graveyard. Actually here in Tonopah, not Goldfield, my bad. It's here in Tonopah. Here's a relic, the Bullfrog Goldfield Railroad, a real piece of lumber. There's almost nothing left of these railroads today, so to see a real thing and be able to touch it, the railroad ties. And here's one from the Las Vegas and Tonopah Railroad, all railroads of that era. 1905, 1905, 1905, Tonopah Tidewater Railroad. We talked a lot about those on the Slim episodes, and I had no idea they had actual pieces of those railroads here. Here is a stamp from a stamp mill, old school, Joshua Hendy Iron Works, San Francisco, California. It's a stamp battery from the War Eagle Mill in Manhattan, Nevada, which operated between 1905 and 1941. So I assume the ore was sent through something that then fed it into this and just crushed it up. And imagine just hearing these things, ka-chunk, 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 I imagine. Oh wow, this is pretty cool too. This is like a more mine, like ore cart hoist it looked like, but maybe it was some kind of system where they had these things, you know, stacked like that and just had multiples going at it, like up and down maybe. How clever. We do have enough time to at least see what these buildings are. I'm gonna do a quick walk by them, then we'll go back to the main path and see them from afar. They are locked though. It's a miner's tent house from Manhattan, Nevada, circa 1910. So basically a cabin, nothing more than a tent with a hardwood floor and walls about 3 feet high, it says, but I'm not gonna be able to see in there, unfortunately. There's a screen on the door. And what is this? Love the Old West looking face to this. It's a two-room miner cabin. So same idea, just small cabin meant for two dudes, I guess. That's another 1910. And what's this one? We have a facsimile of a turn-of-the-century mining camp store. So a replica, in other words. The building is a board and batten miner's cabin. The glass looks old and it's dirty. It's hard to see in there, but it's actually really neat. The Corona Avenue 1908 Saloon. How neat. Look how small it is, but can you guys get a quick look in there if I put my hand in the right place? It's a 1908 saloon. You could only fit like 2 or 3 guys at that counter, or ladies. Maybe that's the best way to describe my experience so far, is this park makes the era that I'm interested in real. And if you're a child of the 1980s like I am, how can you not think of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom when you see things like this? And I honestly think maybe it's that movie that made my obsession with mines and old mining history, as dumb as that sounds. Probably that and amusement park mine train rides and the Old West themed parts of amusement parks. Those always were my favorite growing up. I want to, in our backyard, I was telling Amy, I want to do like a garden and actually buy an antique ore cart and build something kind of like that. But probably not out of wood, because termites are an issue in Arizona. But I thought that would be really neat to have like saguaro and just some kind of cool landscape thing in the backyard like that. It's a dream. Everybody's gonna have dreams, right? All the human hands that touch this stuff. What they would have looked like to us if we could transport ourselves back to that time, and the way they would have dressed and even probably talked and sounded would have been something probably very recognizable, but slightly off to us today. We wouldn't fit in well. All right, I'm 10 minutes away from my cutoff time, so I'm actually gonna be good and go back to the car. And by the time I put my camera equipment away, it'll probably be, I got a couple more photos to take, be right on time with the itinerary. I'm going to drive you through downtown Tonopah, and then shortly after that, we'll point out some familiar landmarks to many of you, and then once we get past that north of Tonopah, then I can actually say it's a Glen first and a Cactus Atlas first, that we're going to regions in Nevada that I've never been to, north of Tonopah. Because in the past, I would hang a left and head off to the Yosemite area, the Eastern Sierra, which aren't far from here, by the way. And there's downtown, the big old city we were talking about back there. The familiar landmarks of the Belvada Hotel on the left, and the Mitzpah Hotel, named after the Mitzpah mine, which is on the hill behind the hotel. We've done many episodes here, so go look at our back catalog. I've plugged that video we did about this area, I don't know, a year or two ago, so Amy will put a link down below for you. But these two buildings you see, the one on the left and then the Mitzpah on the right, were at one point in time the two tallest buildings in the state of Nevada for a very long time. And I think the Mitzpah was constructed or opened in 1907. And on the left, I'm like your driving tour guide here. On your left is the haunted Clown Motel, as well as the graveyard where those miners are buried that I told you about, and many other people from the era. A historic graveyard which we also have explored on a couple different episodes, so we're not stopping. Not today, unfortunately. So now I'm on Route 6, it looks like. And we're going to be turning onto a road in a couple miles. And our next destination, actually I already see part of it. There's a solar facility out in the way we're going to be going. And some sand dunes, the Tonopah sand dunes. And I've seen a lot of other people. I think there's a drone-friendly area back here. We'll check and should be able to get some cool shots of that solar array. It's like a perfect circle, as well as sand dunes, hopefully. There's a picnic area, and then there's a area for vehicles to park for like sand dunes and sand buggies and things like that. What I don't know, as I was reading, is the sand blows a lot, so if I see there's too much sand, I don't think I'm gonna drive this thing out there, no way. I can see sand dunes off to my right. A sign back there labeled them the Crescent Sand Dunes. Google Maps, I plotted a route to something called the Tonopah Sand Dunes. I assume they're the same thing. And boy, is that tower. I don't know the proper name for what the reflector thing is up there. But we've seen other facilities out in the Mojave that do the exact same thing. I think the Ivanpah facility actually has 3 towers like that. This is awesome. I didn't study maps carefully back here, but Crescent Dune goes right in front of the facility, so we're gonna get to look at this
Turn
thing
right onto Crescent Dune Road.
right up close and personal here. Here's the dirt road portion, so I'm going to assume the picnic area is accessible, but so far this road looks
Continue
okay.
on Crescent Dune Road for 2 miles.
See the dunes at least. Worst case scenario, if the road just gets too sandy or worrisome, so far it's no big deal. I'll just plop down here and get airborne or something. We're far out away, actually not as close as I thought we were going to get to that facility over there. Once again, I believe this should all be public BLM lands back here. This is so nice.
Your destination is on the right.
I could feel some of the sand right there. I just drove through a little bit of it. All right, let's hang out here for a little bit. What do you say? I am 2 minutes early. It's perfectly timed. Amy would be so proud. Now, if you don't like crowds, how are you going to beat this? This is why I love Nevada so much. This is a paradise for me. There is a slight breeze, not enough hopefully to screw up the audio, but just look at that. You know, you can't see, I don't think it might be faint, but if you do see some mountains back on the horizon, I see some snow on top of them. And that's where I drove that direction once to head towards Yosemite and the Eastern Sierra. Yosemite is probably further north than we are, but general vicinity. We're gonna be coming back down that way, wink, wink, but not going to Yosemite on this trip, but other places back there. It's the only hint you're gonna get today. And you could see ripples of sand. Not a footprint, pristine and beautiful. I almost feel compelled for myself to walk up a little bit here, see how deep the sand is. I didn't bring my boots. I wasn't planning on walking up this, but I want to leave our mark here. This is a great little spot. At least on a day like today, and other times you might hear the sound of off-roaders, I'm sure. But between the dunes, which I imagine if you got up there to the top, you would have a superb view of that solar array. Now, as you know, we have technology to help us out to get a look at that. And I think that's what I want to do next, is check this beautiful landscape out from the air. Amy, cue the music. All right, sand dunes, the Tonopah sand dunes or the Crescent sand dunes or both, I don't know. Maybe the ones here at the picnic tables are the Tonopah and those are the Crescent over there, but something tells me they're known by both names. Whatever your fancy, it was nice to meet you, make your acquaintance, and we will visit again. All right, as much as I hate to leave these sand dunes now, I mean, I had to put some things away and do a little business, some texting and stuff. I do have a signal here, by the way, a very good signal. So not only was I able to plot a route using Google Maps to
continue on Crescent Dune Road for 2 miles.
As you can hear, back to where we came, but it's gonna take us all to where we need to go. But man, I want to fly back here and get back over by those other dunes. But sticking to the plan, I think, is paying off. Alrighty, so Google has me arriving about 5 minutes or 6 minutes before my scheduled arrival time of 1:15, so arriving at 1:09 p.m. And that basically is to just check in and see if I can get a campsite, and then I'm going to set up the campsite.
and get my quarters ready for the evening. And basically what I'm doing is I'm spending the night, and they have a tour of the Fossil House, only offered this time of the year after Labor Day, on Saturdays and Sundays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. each day. So I'm going to try to catch the 10 a.m. tomorrow and do that, and probably do the bulk of my filming tomorrow, and then hang out at the campground and make a campground episode this afternoon, and prioritize trying to get that done. Being that it's like a 14-site campground, it should be a quick one. It's kind of neat to go back here, I guess. I'm just taking her word for it because I didn't really zoom out the map. I'm just going where it plotted, and I'm zoomed in. But the timing is exactly right, and I'm going northwest, so we're going north, and that's the point. So it's like we're not on the main Route 6 anymore, at least not for now. Maybe not anymore. And I should have kept track of the miles, but I don't think we've deviated from going in this perfectly straight line for maybe the last 15 minutes or something. In fact, in my rear view, I could see the glimmer of that reflecting mirror at the solar array, which we passed down there miles back, so it's still lined up with where we started. Fantastic. But if it remains like this is, I would recommend this is a scenic drive to my friends, and you are my friends, so consider yourself recommended. I think it's a delightful surprise though when I find things like this, because this route is just gorgeous. Coming back through here, and I was not planning on doing any like scenic drive portions like I've been doing on this episode. It's a little bonus, I guess. It fits in with our itinerary because we're heading to where I'm supposed to be going. And I got plenty of batteries left to get where I'm going. What it is about this drive today, but it's one of my favorites. I just don't know what it is. I mean, clearly if you like just the vast expanse of spaces, that's why. I think that's one reason to like it, but other than that, I mean, there's honestly not that much interesting, is there? These bushes and plants, but I just think it is the vastness, that the same kind of vastness that I've remarked on at Death Valley, that some of you know what I'm talking about. It's like that kind of scale out here. Probably even bigger, I would say. If you can make out the buildings up there, chances are those are the remnants, the leftover town site left in arrested decay. And that really big structure is either the Fossil House or the mill, but based on the shape of it, I do think it's the mill. So if that is all correct, that is an 1890s bona fide mining town, a ghost town. My favorite kind, which is the arrested decay kind. Welcome to Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park.
In 1,000 feet, continue straight onto MCR 992955.
Right. I think we figured it out, so you're dismissed. Thank you. Oh, there's a horse. There's a bunch of horses here. And a wagon. A horse is pulling a wagon. How cool is that? Well, I guess you are going to get a quick drive through. I talked to that worker here, ranger or worker, docent, I don't know. He's like, oh, you're not with the group of paleontologists, are you? And I was like, yeah, I am. I didn't say that. And I just said, no, I'm here to camp. And he asked if I'm a Nevada resident, which I'm not. And check this out. The town is right here. We're driving through it. Oh, it's so good. So you're getting a preview, I guess. but we're going to do the deep exploration later or tomorrow morning. Anywho, he said there's plenty of campsites to pick from. Just go up there and it's $20. And I forgot to say, I almost forgot, I knew I had a little bit of cash, but they do require cash here, I think, because they don't have credit cards or any connectivity, I think, up here. This is an awesome drive, too. It goes right by the mill, right by all these structures. Now you know you're going to want to come back to watch our other videos, right? And there's, we're driving back the direction we came, so we came from somewhere so far that way, straight ahead, off in the distance, I can't even tell you. Because you can't even see the reflective mirror anymore. That's long gone. Wow, that was art in the form of a scenic drive. I found what I think might be a flat site, like one of the few, which I'm just going to park back here, and then, maybe what I should do is, unless this one just looks awesome and I'm like, cool, sold, which I might go walk around as part of the campground episode and survey everything like I normally would, and then use it to pick out my site before I make a decision. But at least I claim my site doing it this way. See, I'm smart like that. Anyway, I'll catch up in a little bit. Well, my friends, we've made it to the end of the day, at least for all intents and purposes. It's 7:23 p.m. and it's been a long one. I did a lot of filming for other episodes, campground episodes, and did some photography at sunset down in the town of Berlin. It was absolutely beautiful. I was there alone, not a single person there, not a soul, and it was a very peaceful and calm moment. I really enjoyed just roaming down there. Didn't film, didn't talk, just took a few pictures and enjoyed it for myself for once. Need to try to do that more often. If that wasn't a day trip today, I don't know what qualifies, my friends. That was pretty epic, and I'm sitting here watching the last rays of sun in the civil twilight, just enjoying the silence. On that note, though, we always have to end these things, but it always means we'll be back again next week with another adventure. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.